everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Deep Thoughts. And today we are talking about Dr. Stone, episode 16, A Tale for the Ages. But hey, before we begin, as always, I want to give a big thank you to those of you who shared last week's video over on Twitter, namely @Casherms, @NachoGashardo, and @ShonenOG. Thank you guys so much for sharing last week's video. It is super appreciated, and if you too would like to have your name shouted out in next week's Dr. Stone video, then be sure to share this video around on the internet, and then tag me @JoJo Talks Too Much over on Twitter, and I will be sure to shout your name out in next week's video. Now then, with that said, my friends, we truly have a tale for the ages. That episode title couldn't be more appropriate. We have the 100th story of the 100 stories, Ishigami Senku, which thinking about that opening line gives me shivers, because last week's ending was such a wait, what moment. It was genuinely it was something I had sort of guessed, in some way Senku's dad is going to have something to do with the village, or at least have some sort of input in the present day based on the ED that played. So this is something I should have seen coming, given how space and science plays such a heavy role in Senku's life. But as it turns out, I genuinely was both surprised, saddened, and I guess all three emotions. I was surprised, I was sad, and I was also kind of hyped. I say hyped because we finally get the reveal of BYAKUYA Ishigami. We get the face reveal, we get the name reveal. We get the whole nine. This whole episode is about Senku's dad, who up until now has been sort of shrouded in mystery. There's a whole laundry list of solid A-tier dads this season, as well as just the year overall. But you know what? I was gonna say maybe not year, but I would say that not only is BYAKUYA Ishigami dad of the season, he is easily dad of the year contender, because he's just already the vibe from him is so different from the traditional I am dad protect family. Don't get me wrong, that is standard and it's why we like most dad characters. But BYAKUYA's interaction from the jump with Senku has always been strong, even the little glimpses that we get. But seeing him interact with Senku, seeing Senku react to the moon, why are you always following me, moon? Moon! Just ever so confused by the moon. And BYAKUYA gets to explain how the moon works. The reason it looks like it's following you is because it's so far away, and it's a sight I will never see, for I failed my exam to become an astronaut, alas. And it's a bit of pathos, and Senku, even at a young age, he still has that yeah, whatever, that kind of attitude of okay, relax. But I will say, I know now where Senku gets his maniacal side. It's definitely BYAKUYA. He gets that sort of playful nature from BYAKUYA for sure. Not that BYAKUYA is a total goofball, but he has a sort of mischievous streak to him. And he Senku definitely got that from his dad. That the two of them share in common, as well, of course, as a love for science, which totally is the whole core of their relationship, but it's not cold, which I appreciate. Their dynamic goes beyond just the basics of science, right? Oh, we share this thing in common, that is our thing. No. They use science to become closer to each other, and they don't smother each other with love either. BYAKUYA is perfectly content letting Senku do his own thing. Senku is content with BYAKUYA going on this space expedition to some sort of satellite orbiting Earth, because they trust each other. They know that each other are good, but if worse comes to worse, if they have to be there for each other, they will do whatever they can. And I appreciate that relationship. It's refreshing from the usual anime dad who smothers the kid with love and attention, and don't get me wrong, that's a good thing. But knowing that it's refreshing seeing that BYAKUYA is aware that Senku not only knows that he loves him, it doesn't need to be said, he knows it, but he also trusts Senku to be on his own, to be responsible, to be a good kid, and Senku trusts that his dad has got this in the bag. He has full control over the situation. He wants his dad to go to space because that's his dad's dream, and he fully supports it. And the two of them have this wonderful dynamic. And it's very brief. For the most part, the episode's not really about Senku and Byakuya. It's more about Byakuya and the rest of the crew up in space. But I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that Senku and his dad have a wonderful relationship. And I just think that the two of them, the bond feels much more genuine by not being so over-the-top anime dad. It feels very, very heartwarming to see these two trust each other so much that like not a whole lot of words need to be said between them. They know, the other one knows, and it doesn't need to be said, but it's felt, and I really, really appreciated that. So I guess we should probably talk about the whole space station thing, because that was huge, and that takes up a great majority of the episode, is just the space station. And it's interesting because we know for sure, like, we knew Byakuya was going to be up on that station, that was obvious, and we also knew Kohaku's not descendant, ancestor would be in that rocket, or not rocket, in that satellite. Wow, I can't words today. But we knew that, like, in some capacity, Kohaku's lineage would have had to have come from the same station that Byakuya was on. Otherwise, they would have had to have, like, de-petrified somebody on Earth, which isn't very likely. So to me, I was like, we're gonna see them. And yeah, you totally see them, like, rocketing up to space, and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa! I turned into Crash. It was really, really dope seeing this clear, like, analog for Ruri and Kohaku, and I couldn't pinpoint every single character. They each had, like, sort of characteristics that I'm like, oh, that kind of looks like so-and-so, or that sort of looks like so-and-so. But I didn't want to say for sure and be wrong, you know? I didn't want to be like, oh, Yakov, or whatever his name is clearly based off blah, blah, blah. Or, like, that character is a descendant of blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't want to guess, because I could be wrong. I would ask that manga fans don't tell me, because I'd rather it be sort of a surprise, I guess. I guess it doesn't super matter, so I won't be, like, disappointed if somebody says it in the comments, but I would rather you didn't. Because I want to be surprised, you know? I want to see who is a descendant of who. And I gotta say, the space station, that crew, genuinely, like, for first impressions, it was genuinely solid, especially Lillian. She made the biggest impression. Well, Byakuya made the biggest impression, but Lillian made the second biggest impression. And I really genuinely like the crew. They have a nice dynamic. They have a fun sort of, like, especially the first three that we see, they're sort of, like, already formed as a unit. They're like a family type bond there. And then our crew shows up, Byakuya, Lillian, and other guy whose name I forget, Angsty Blonde Man. And Angsty Blonde Man is the angsty blonde one. But I feel like I don't want to, you know what, I don't even want to say, because I don't want to be wrong about, like, who is a ancestor of who. I'm not even going to go there. But I will say I like the dynamic that everybody shares, and I loved how fun that opening felt with Lillian, like, pretending to be this, like, bratty pop star, because I was like, oh no, don't do this. And then when Byakuya starts chuckling and Lillian's like, okay, that was enough, and the blonde guy's like, come on, tell them that it's fake. And I was like, whoa, what? And it was all like a ruse, it was like a prank, and I was like, wow, they have a great relationship. Like, already this group, I can tell, are gonna get along, and they're gonna have fun, and the whole space station thing, like all of it was fun. There was just this fun vibe to it. I mean, from the conversation overlooking Earth between Lillian and Byakuya, and Lillian's whole song, the song itself, like that little, like, transmission they give back to Earth of Lillian, like, lip syncing to one of her songs, it actually gave me Bill and Ted vibes, which I think is kind of funny to think about, but it genuinely did give me Bill and Ted, like, Bill and Ted's music will save the world, and I was like, Lillian's song will save the world. It kind of did give me Bill and Ted vibes. And we also get cameos out the wazoo. Like, when we see people watching the stream of Lillian lip syncing, you see all these characters from, like, that we've known across, like, the show. You see Taiju, you see Yuzuriha, you see Tsukasa. Taiju and Tsukasa in particular cross paths in the past, and I was like, whoa. You don't see their faces, but you see their character designs walk past each other, and I was like, whoa, that was cool. And this leads into the whole quote-unquote events, like the petrification of the planet, or at least of the humans, because as we find out, Senku was already researching the petrification of all the swallows around. Like, he was like, that's interesting. Like, so these aren't just statues people are finding, they're actually swallows. Like, he was able to deduce that. So I found it interesting that Senku already kind of knew something was up, but just wasn't sure necessarily if humans were going to get caught up in it, and if so, like, when would they, like, so he wasn't, like, fully prepared or anything, but he was kind of slightly becoming aware of what was going on, so I thought that was interesting. But seeing the actual event, like, from space, and seeing what it looked like what the planet looked like when the event was happening, it felt much bigger than I could have anticipated. Now, keep in mind, it's the size of the planet, so it was obviously going to be big, but that scene, the weight of that scene had much more gravitas than I thought it was going to have. I thought they absolutely nailed the petrification scene. And I'm pretty sure, if I'm totally honest, that this arc is gonna get me to cry, because I'm a big fan, and this is like a rare trope. And I would say it's not even really a trope because of how rare it is. It's just like a rare, like, little thing I've noticed. That characters being, like, stuck or separated due to time, which I know is like, what? But characters separated across time, or like, to an extent across, like, planets as well. But characters separated across time is something that always breaks my heart and, like, really gets me all kinds of emotional, because time is something, like, humans can't overcome. You can't overcome being stuck across time or being stuck in different timelines or something like that. It's a very science fiction type thing, and it so rarely happens, but, like, seeing characters who are separated by timeline or just separated across great distances of time always gets me. I think of stuff like Doctor Who, like with Rory and Amy, like, being separated either from the Doctor, or Rory and Amy being separated from each other. And, like, it just, characters being separated by something like time, something that you can't typically overcome unless you have a time machine like the TARDIS. But, you know, even the TARDIS can't go back and save everybody, no spoilers. But it's a rare trope, it's a rare story beat, but I always love it and hate it, because I hate it because it always breaks my heart. And I can already tell BYAKUYA being separated from Senku and being stuck in our time, while Senku is in the far-flung future, like the post-apocalyptic stone world future. Like, Senku being stuck in the stone world, while BYAKUYA is stuck in the past, or our time. This is getting confusing. But that concept alone gets me kind of emotional. Just, especially when you put in, like, family bonds, it really gets me. I'm a big sap, and I just know at some point there's probably going to be some scene of BYAKUYA talking to Senku, and then it's going to cut to Senku, maybe, like, not hearing it necessarily, but, like, knowing that his dad took care of everything and was always thinking about him, or just thinking about it gets me upset. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here, because I can already tell I'm going to get emotional, and it has, like, no scene like that has even happened yet. So I just know that this arc is going to get me to cry, and I'm excited to have a whole arc about BYAKUYA. Like, hopefully it's more than just next week's episode. I actually hope it's, like, next week's episode and the episode after. I would really like that. But with that said, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and give this week's episode another very strong A-tier episode. This is an A-tier episode. Dr. Stone has been killing it recently. On that note, everybody, that just about wraps everything up. But before we go, as always, I want to give a big shout out to the good folks over on Patreon, namely those in the Earl Grey tier: Calvin Atkinson, Crowbar of Irony, Dominic, Urza, Ginkotaku, No For Nothing, Maria Teresa, Mirth Mouser, Omner Garamond, Cell, Shadow Creative, Sipco Games, Somastan, Steven, Tristan, and Verdon. Thank you all so much for your continued support over on Patreon, and hey, if you too would like to join the T Squadron, then by all means go ahead and check out that first link in the description to check out our Patreon page, see all the cool rewards you can get for as little as $1 a month, and get access to our Patreon exclusive Discord. But on that note, everybody, that's going to be a video, so I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, you've probably been on the internet long enough to know what to do already, so I ain't going to tell you, but I will say that it is appreciated, and if you are feeling stressed out today, then you go have yourself a warm cup of tea, and I will talk to you all again real soon.